In New York City, 2025, a woman navigates a whirlwind of ambition, betrayal, and secrets. This story is a gripping dive into family rivalries, corporate gains, and bonds that defy time. With courage, she fights to reshape her fate in a city that spares no mercy for the weak. Every choice draws her closer to an uncertain future, where the past holds unexpected answers. Brace yourself for a drama blending heart, power, and vengeance, unfolding against the backdrop of skyscrapers and promises. A saga that will hook you until the final moment. The grand ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria in New York City shimmered under crystal chandeliers, their light refracting across gilded walls and polished marble floors. It was June 2025, and the air buzzed with anticipation for what was touted as the wedding of the season. Amy Sullivan, radiant in a Vera Wang gown that cascaded like a waterfall of ivory silk, stood in the bridal suite, her heart pounding. The mirror reflected her chestnut hair swept into an elegant updo, her hazel eyes wide with a mix of nerves and excitement. Today, she was to marry Nathan Brooks, the charming heir to Brooks Properties, a real estate firm teetering on the edge of bankruptcy, but still prestigious enough to draw Manhattan's elite. Amy adjusted her veil, her fingers trembling slightly. "You look like a dream, sweetheart," said her mother's best friend, Margaret, who had stepped in as a surrogate since Amy's mother passed away a decade ago. Margaret's warm smile eased Amy's nerves. "Nathan's a lucky man." "I hope so," Amy murmured, her voice soft. She glanced at the window where the Manhattan skyline glittered against the late afternoon sky. The Empire State Building loomed in the distance, a silent witness to her dreams of a new life. Nathan had promised her stability, love, and a partnership to revive their family's legacies. Yet a nagging unease tugged at her heart. Like a shadow she couldn't shake downstairs. The ballroom was a sea of tailored suits and designer dresses. Guests sipped champagne, their laughter mingling with the soft strains of a string quartet, playing Vivaldi. Richard Sullivan, Amy's father, a man with graying hair and a perpetually furrowed brow, schmoozed with investors, his smile masking the financial ruin of Sullivan Enterprises. "This marriage will save us," he muttered to an associate, clinking glasses. "The Brooks and Sullivan, united, it's a powerhouse." At the edge of the crowd, Chloe Bennett, Amy's cousin, glided through the room in a crimson dress that hugged her figure, her blonde hair cascading in perfect waves. Chloe's green eyes sparkled with something sharper than joy ambition. She had grown up in Amy's shadow, resentful of the attention Amy received as the golden child of the Sullivan family. Tonight, she intended to rewrite that narrative. In the bridal suite, Amy's phone buzzed. A text from Chloe, "Meet me in the foyer. Urgent." Amy frowned, her stomach twisting. "I'll be right back," she told Margaret, lifting her gown as she hurried out. The foyer was quieter, the hum of the wedding muffled by heavy oak doors. Chloe stood by a marble pillar, her expression unreadable. "What's wrong?" Amy asked, breathless. "Is it Dad? The guests?" Chloe's lip curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, Amy, always so worried about everyone else. You should be worried about yourself." She stepped aside, gesturing toward a side corridor. "Come see for yourself." Confused, Amy followed, her heels clicking on the marble. Chloe pushed open a door to a small lounge, where the sight before Amy stopped her cold. Nathan Brooks. Her fiancé stood with his back to her, his arms wrapped around a woman in a red dress. Their lips were locked in a passionate kiss, oblivious to the world. Amy's breath caught as she recognized the woman Chloe. What is this?" Amy's voice cracked, barely above a whisper. Nathan spun around, his face paling. "Amy, it's not what it looks like." He stumbled forward, his tie askew, his dark hair disheveled. Chloe laughed, a sharp, mocking sound. "Oh, Nathan, don't lie to her now. She deserves the truth." She sauntered toward Amy, her eyes gleaming with triumph. "He's been lying. For months, cousin? Did you really think he'd settle for you?" The dutiful, boring Amy Sullivan? Amy's world tilted. The room seemed to shrink, the walls closing in. "Nathan, tell me she's lying," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "Tell me this is a mistake." Nathan ran a hand through his hair, his eyes darting between the two women. "Amy, I love you, but Chloe, she understands me. The pressure? The business, it's complicated. Complicated." Amy's voice rose, raw with pain. "You're standing here kissing my cousin on our wedding day, and you call it complicated?" Chloe crossed her arms, smirking. "Face it, Amy, you're out of your league. Nathan needs someone who can keep up with him, not a charity case tying him to your failing family." The words cut like glass. Amy's hands clenched, her nails digging into her palms. She turned to Nathan, searching his face for the man she thought she knew. "Is this true? Have you been lying to me all this time?" Nathan opened his mouth, but no words came. His silence was answer enough. Tears burned Amy's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "You're both disgusting," she spat, her voice shaking with fury. She ripped off her veil, the delicate lace tearing in her hands, and stormed toward the door. "Amy, wait." Nathan called, but she didn't stop. Chloe's laughter echoed behind her, a cruel soundtrack to her heartbreak. Back in the ballroom, the guests were seated, awaiting the bride's entrance. Richard Sullivan stood at the podium, ready to give a toast. Amy burst through the doors, her gown trailing behind her like a ghost. The music faltered, and a hush fell over the crowd. Every eye turned to her, whispers rippling through the room. Richard's smile froze. "Amy, what's going on?" Amy stopped at the center of the room, her chest heaving. "The wedding's off," she announced, her voice ringing clear despite the tremor in it. Gasps erupted from the guests. Ask Nathan and Chloe why. They seem to have a lot to say to each other. She turned, ignoring her father's shouts and the stunned faces around her. Richard grabbed her arm as she reached the exit. "Amy, what the hell are you doing? This marriage is our lifeline. You can't just walk away." Amy yanked her arm free, glaring at him. "Your lifeline, Dad? What about me? Did you even care that Nathan's been cheating on me with Chloe? Or is your precious business all that matters?" Richard's face reddened. "You're being selfish, Amy. The Sullivans need this alliance. Chloe's just spirited. You're the responsible one? Fix this?" Amy's voice broke. "I'm done fixing your messes. I'm done being your pawn." She pushed past him, tears finally spilling as she fled the ballroom. Outside, the June air was warm, heavy with the scent of city asphalt and distant rain. Amy stumbled onto Park Avenue, her gown catching on the pavement. Horns blared as taxis swerved around her, their drivers shouting. She didn't care. Her world had crumbled, and all she could see was Nathan's betrayal. Chloe's smirk, her father's indifference. She sank onto a bench, her hands covering her face. The cicatrix on her wrist, a faint scar from a childhood accident, peeked out from under her sleeve, unnoticed. She didn't know how long she sat there, lost in her grief, until a shadow fell over her doppel. Quotes, "Hey, you okay?" A deep voice asked. Amy looked up, startled. A man in a tailored suit stood before her, his dark hair tousled by the breeze, his blue eyes sharp with concern. He was strikingly handsome, with a jawline that could cut glass, but there was a warmth in his gaze that disarmed her. "I'm not okay," Amy admitted, her voice hoarse. The man glanced at her gown, then at the chaos of the street. "Rough day, huh? Looks like you could use a rescue. I'm Jack Donovan." He extended a hand, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Amy hesitated, then took his hand, unaware that this moment would change her life forever. The streets of Manhattan pulsed with life, a symphony of honking taxis, chattering pedestrians, and the distant hum of construction cranes shaping the city's ever-evolving skyline. It was June 2025, and the warm evening air carried the faint scent of pretzels from a nearby vendor and the metallic tang of an approaching summer rain. Amy Sullivan sat on a bench outside the Waldorf Astoria, her wedding gown crumpled around her like a fallen dream. her chestnut hair once meticulously pinned, now hung in loose strands, and her hazel eyes glistened with unshed tears. The cicatrix on her wrist, a faint scar from a childhood fall, caught the dim glow of a street lamp as she clutched her hands together, trying to hold herself together after the betrayal of Nathan Brooks and her cousin Chloe Bennett. The world seemed to blur around her, yellow cabs streaking by, tourists snapping photos, a street performer strumming a guitar nearby. Amy barely noticed until a shadow fell across her, and a deep, steady voice broke through haze. "Hey, you okay?" She looked up, startled, into the piercing blue eyes of a man in a tailored navy suit. His dark hair was slightly tousled, as if he just stepped out of a boardroom into the chaotic energy of the city. He carried an air of confidence, but his expression was soft, concerned. "I'm Jack Donovan," he said, offering a hand. "You look like you could use a friend right now." Amy blinked, her throat tight. "I'm not okay," she admitted, her voice raw. She glanced at her gown, the ivory silk now streaked with city grime. "It's supposed to be my wedding day." Jack's brows lifted, but he didn't flinch. He sat beside her on the bench, his presence grounding. "Rough day, then. Want to tell me what happened? Or should, I guess, runaway bride? Cold feet? Or did the groom pull a disappearing act?" Amy let out a bitter laugh, wiping her eyes. "Worse. I caught him kissing my cousin Chloe in a back room. Right before we were supposed to say I do." Jack whistled low, leaning back. "That's a new low, even for New York. Your cousin and your fiancé. That's soap opera material." "Tell me about it," Amy muttered, her fingers tracing the scar on her wrist absent-mindedly. "And my gat Richard Sullivan thinks I should just fix it for the sake of his failing company. Like I'm some pawn in his business deals?" Jack's eyes narrowed, a flicker of recognition crossing his face at the name Sullivan. Sullivan Enterprises, right? Real estate on the brink of collapse? I've heard the rumors on Wall Street. He paused, studying her. "You're Amy Sullivan, then." "I'm sorry, I didn't connect the dots." "I'm in real estate too, Donovan Group." Amy stiffened, wary. "Great, another businessman who thinks I'm a bargaining chip." She stood, brushing off her gown. "Thanks for the concern, but I need to go somewhere. Anywhere but here." "Wait," Jack said, standing quickly. "I'm not like that. I just saw a woman in a wedding dress crying on a bench. Call it human decency?" He glanced down the street where a black SUV idled, its driver watching them. "Look, it's not safe out here alone, especially not in that dress. Let me give you a ride, no strings attached." Amy hesitated, her instincts torn. The city was a jungle, and after Nathan's betrayal, trust felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. But Jack's steady gaze and the warmth in his voice chipped away at her defenses. "Fine," she said finally. "But if you try anything, I'm not above using these heels as weapons." Jack chuckled, raising his hands. "Noted. My car's right there. Where to? Your place? A friend's?" "I don't know," Amy admitted, her voice breaking. "I can't go home. Not with my dad there, ready to lecture me about family." "Duty." Jack nodded, as if he understood more than she'd said. "Then let's get you somewhere safe to think. There's a diner a few blocks away, best coffee in Midtown. You can figure out your next move over a slice of pie." The SUV pulled up and Jack opened the door for her. Amy slid in, the leather cool against her skin. As they drove through Manhattan, the city's lights blurred into streaks of gold and white. The diner, a retro spot called Rosie's, was tucked between towering skyscrapers, its neon sign glowing like a beacon. Inside, the air smelled of coffee and fried onions, and a jukebox played an old Sinatra tune. Jack led her to a corner booth where the waitress, a woman with a kind smile and a name tag reading Doris, set down 2 steaming mugs. "So," Jack said, leaning back in the booth, "you gonna tell me the whole story? Or do I have to bribe you with apple pie first?" Amy managed a small smile, wrapping her hands around the mug. "You're persistent, aren't you?" She sighed, the weight of the day crashing down. "It's not just Nathan and Chloe. My whole life I've been trying to please my dad, keep the family together. Sullivan Enterprises is drowning in debt, and this marriage was supposed to be the lifeline. But now, I'm done being their scapegoat. Jack listened, his expression unreadable but attentive. Sounds like you've been carrying a lot for a long time. What do you want, Amy? Not your dad, not your cousin. What do you want? The question hit her like a freight train. When was the last time anyone had asked her that? I want to be free, she said softly. Free from their games, their lies. I want to prove I'm more than just Richard Sullivan's daughter. Jack nodded, his eyes catching the light as he leaned forward. Then maybe it's time to rewrite your story. You're not a pawn, you're a player. And I might have a way to help you do that. Amy frowned, suspicious. Help me. Why would you? You don't even know me. Jack's gaze flickered to her wrist, where the faint scar stood out against. Her pale skin. For a moment, he seemed lost in thought, as if seeing something beyond her. Let's just say I have a soft spot for underdogs, he said, his voice low. And I know a thing or two about fighting back. Here's my pitch. I need a partner for some high-stakes social events, galas, investor dinners, that sort of thing. My world's full of sharks, and I could use someone sharp, someone who can hold their own. In return, I can give you a shield protection, resources, whatever you need to take back your life. Amy's eyes narrowed. Sounds like a deal with strings attached. What exactly are you offering? Jack grinned, unfazed. A marriage. On paper, at least. You get my name, my backing, and a chance to stick it to the people who hurt you. I get a partner who doesn't flinch in a fight. We both win. Marriage? Amy's jaw dropped. You're insane. I just ran away from one wedding, and you're proposing another? Not a real one, Jack clarified, raising a hand. A contract. We play the part, you get the power of the Donovan name, and we both walk away when the dust settles. No romance, no complications. Just business. Amy stared at him, her mind racing. It was crazy marrying a stranger hours after her world fell apart. But the idea of turning the tables on Nathan, Chloe, and her father sparked something fierce. Inside her. And what's in it for you, Jack Donovan? Why me? Jack's smile faded slightly, his eyes lingering on her scar again. Let's just say you remind me of someone I used to know, he said cryptically. Someone who deserved better than what she got. Before Amy could press further, her phone buzzed. A text from Chloe, running away won't change anything. Amy, you'll always be second best. Fury surged through her, and she gripped the phone so tightly her knuckles whitened. Jack noticed, his expression hardening. Bet them? Amy nodded, her jaw tight. Chloe? Rubbing it in. Then prove her wrong, Jack said, his voice steady. Take my deal. Show them you're not the one who breaks. Amy looked into his eyes, searching for deceit but finding only resolve. The diner's jukebox switched to New York, New York, and the irony wasn't lost on her. This city was about reinvention, about rising from the ashes. Maybe this was her chance. Okay, she said finally, her voice firm. I am in, but if you cross me, Jack Donovan, you'll regret it. Jack's grin returned, a spark of admiration in his eyes. Wouldn't dream of it, Amy Sullivan. Let's shake up this city together. The penthouse atop the Sullivan Tower gleamed with modern opulence, its floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of Manhattan's glittering skyline. It was a warm June evening in 2025, and the air inside was thick with tension, despite the cool hum of central air conditioning. The living room, with its sleek leather furniture and abstract art, felt more like a corporate boardroom than a home. Amy Sullivan stood by the window, her reflection a stark contrast to the city's vibrancy. She wore a simple black dress, her chestnut hair pulled back, her hazel eyes shadowed with exhaustion. The faint cicatrix on her wrist, a scar from a childhood fall, was barely visible under the dim light of a designer lamp. 2 days had passed since her disastrous wedding, and the sting of Nathan Brooks' betrayal and Chloe Bennett's cruelty still burned. Amy's father, Richard Sullivan, paced the room, his gray hair disheveled, his face etched with frustration. Papers strewn across the glass coffee table detailed Sullivan Enterprises' dire financial state debts piling up, investors pulling out. "Amy, you can't just hide here forever," Richard snapped, stopping to glare at her. "You humiliated us at the Waldorf. The Brooks deal was our last shot, and you blew it." Amy turned, her jaw tight. "I blew it? Nathan was kissing Chloe in a back room. Dad, my cousin. And you're mad at me for not smiling and walking down the aisle?" Richard waved a hand dismissively. "Chloe's always been impulsive. You're the responsible one, Amy. You should have handled it quietly for their family's sake." Sullivan Enterprises is on its last legs. We needed the Brooks alliance. Amy's hands clenched, her nails digging into her palms. "For the family's sake? Or for your sake? When have you ever cared about what I want?" Before Richard could retort, the elevator dinged, and Chloe Bennett swept into the room, her blonde hair cascading over a tailored emerald blazer. Her green eyes sparkled with smug satisfaction, a stark contrast to Amy's weary defiance. "Oh, Amy, still playing the victim," Chloe said, her voice dripping with mock sympathy. "You ran out on your own wedding?" No wonder Uncle Richard's stressed. Amy's gaze hardened. "Get out, Chloe. You've done enough." Chloe smirked, dropping her purse on the couch. "I'm family, Amy. Unlike you, I'm here to help Uncle Richard save what's left of this sinking ship." She turned to Richard, her tone saccharine. "I spoke to Nathan. He's willing to reconsider the alliance if Amy apologizes and steps aside." "Steps aside?" Amy's voice rose, incredulous. "You think I'm going to beg that cheater to take me back so you can keep him?" Richard rubbed his temples. "Amy, be reasonable. Chloe's right. Nathan's family still has connections we need. Swallow your pride and fix this mess." Amy laughed, a bitter sound that echoed in the sterile room. "Swallow my pride? You're both delusional. I'm done being your pawn." Chloe crossed her arms, her smirk widening. "Poor Amy, always so dramatic. Face it, you'll never be enough for anyone. That's why you chose me." The words cut deep, but Amy refused to flinch. She stepped closer, her voice low and steady. "Keep talking, Chloe. Every word just makes me more determined to bury you." Richard slammed his hand on the table, scattering papers. "Enough! Amy, you're staying here until you agree to meet Nathan. Chloe, go arrange a dinner with the Brooks family. We're not letting this fall apart." As Chloe sauntered toward the elevator, her heels clicking on the hardwood, Amy's phone buzzed. A text from Jack Donovan, the man who'd offered her a lifeline 2 days ago at Rosie's Diner. 8 p.m. "We need to talk about our deal." Amy's heart raced. Jack's proposal, a marriage of convenience to shield her from her family and give her leverage, felt like a gamble, but after this, she was ready to roll the dice. The Standard Hotel's rooftop bar buzzed with Manhattan's elite, its open-air terrace bathed in the golden glow of string lights and the city's neon pulse. Skyscrapers loomed around them, the Hudson River glinting in the distance. Jack Donovan leaned against the bar, a whiskey in hand, his navy suit impeccable despite the casual tilt of his posture. His blue eyes scanned the crowd until they landed on Amy, who stepped onto the terrace in a deep blue dress that hugged her frame, her scar faintly visible on her wrist. She looked like a woman ready for battle, but the shadows under her eyes betrayed her turmoil. "You made it," Jack said, handing her a glass of wine. "Thought you might have changed your mind about our little arrangement." Amy took the glass, her fingers brushing his. "After the day I've had, I'm more tempted than ever. My dad and Chloe are trying to shove me back into Nathan's arms like nothing happened." Jack's jaw tightened, a flicker of anger in his eyes. "They sound like real charmers." "What did you tell them? That they can go to hell?" Sad, sipping her wine. "But they're not giving up. Dad's desperate to save his company, and Chloe's playing Queen Bee, thinking she's won." Jack nodded, his gaze drifting to her wrist. "You're tougher than they think, Amy. That's why I'm betting on you." He leaned closer, his voice low. My offer stands. Marry me on paper. You get the Donovan name, my resources, and a chance to hit back. I get a partner who can handle the vipers in my world. Deal? Amy studied him, searching for the catch. You still haven't told me why you're doing this. What's in it for you, really? Jack's smile was cryptic, his eyes lingering on her scar. Let's just say I owe someone a favor. Someone who reminds me of you. He straightened, his tone brisk. But if you're in, we need to move fast. My uncle Victor's hosting a gala tomorrow, and I want you there as my fiancé. It'll send a message to your family and mine. Amy's brows shot up. Fiancé? That's a big leap from runaway bride. Jack chuckled. Go big or go home, right? Trust me, Amy. This city eats the weak. We need to show them we're not prey. Before Amy could respond, a woman approached. Her auburn hair swept into a chignon, her silver gown shimmering under the lights. Olivia Reed, Victor Donovan's protégée, carried herself with the grace of a predator. Her brown eyes flicked over Amy, dismissive before settling on Jack. Jack, darling, you're hard to pin down, she purred, touching his arm. Victor's been asking for you. Who's your friend? Jack stepped back, his smile cool. Olivia, meet Amy Sullivan, my fiancée. Olivia's smile froze, her eyes narrowing. Fiancée? That's sudden. She turned to Amy, her tone laced with venom. Sullivan, as in the failing real estate family. How quaint. Amy bristled, but kept her voice steady. And you are? Olivia Reed, she said, her chin lifting. Practically family to the Donovans. Jack and I go way back. She leaned closer, her voice a whisper. Don't get too comfortable, Amy. Jack's heart belongs to someone else. A girl from his past. You're just a placeholder. Amy's stomach twisted, but she forced a smile. Thanks for the tip, Olivia. But I don't need your approval to know my place. Olivia's eyes flashed, but she turned to Jack, her tone saccharine. Victor won't be happy about this, Jack. You know he has plans for us. Jack's expression hardened. Victor doesn't run my life, Olivia. Tell him I'll see him at the gala with Amy. As Olivia stalked away, Amy exhaled, her grip tightening on her glass. She's a piece of work. What's her deal? Jack sighed, running a hand through his hair. Olivia's like a sister to Victor, my uncle. He's got it in his head that we're destined to marry, despite me saying no 100 times. She's not used to losing. Amy frowned, Olivia's words echoing in her mind. What did she mean about a girl from your past? Jack's gaze flickered to her wrist again, a shadow crossing his face. Nothing you need to worry about, just Olivia stirring the pot. He raised his glass. To our partnership, Amy, let's make them regret underestimating us. Amy clinked her glass. Against his, her resolve hardening to fighting back. As they drank, the city sparkled below, a battlefield waiting for their next move. The boardroom of Sullivan Enterprises, perched on the 40th floor of a glass and steel tower in Manhattan's financial district, was a stark contrast to the opulence of the Sullivan penthouse. Its sleek mahogany table reflected the harsh fluorescence of overhead lights, and the floor-to-ceiling windows framed a restless June 2025 sky, where storm clouds gathered over the Hudson River. Amy Sullivan stood at the head of the table, her black blazer sharp against her white blouse, her chestnut hair pulled into a tight ponytail. Her hazel eyes burned with determination, though the faint cicatrix on her wrist, a scar from a childhood fall, peeked out from her cuff as she gripped a stack of financial reports. It had been a week since her catastrophic wedding and her deal with Jack Donovan, and today she was staking her claim. The room buzzed with tension as the Sullivan Enterprises' four gray-haired executives in tailored suits watched her warily. Richard Sullivan sat at the far end, his face a mask of skepticism. Chloe Bennett lounged beside him, her emerald dress a deliberate splash of color in the monochrome room, her green eyes glinting with barely concealed disdain. Amy had called this emergency meeting to announce her bold plan. She was taking control of the company, rebranding it as Horizon Group, and steering it toward a massive Manhattan real estate project, the Hudson Yards expansion. Ladies and gentlemen, Amy began, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. Sullivan Enterprises is bleeding. Debts are mounting. Investors are fleeing and our reputation is in tatters. But I'm not here to mourn the past. I'm here to rebuild. Starting today, we're Horizon Group, and I'm leading us into the Hudson Yards expansion bid. It's a $5 billion project, and we're going to win it. A murmur rippled through the room. Richard scoffed, leaning back in his chair. This is absurd. You're a wedding planner, not a CEO. You think you can just waltz in and save a company that's been dying for years? Amy's gaze didn't waver. I'm more than your daughter, Dad. I've studied every deal, every failure of this company. I know where we went wrong, and I know how to fix it. The Hudson Yards bid is our shot to turn things around. Chloe laughed, a sharp, mocking sound. Oh, Amy, you're adorable. You think you can compete with the big players? Nathan's already working on that bid with Brooks Properties. He's got the connections, the charm. What do you have? A broken heart and a grudge. Amy's hands clenched, but she forced a smile. I have a plan, Chloe. And unlike you and Nathan, I don't rely on lies to get ahead. She clicked a remote, and a sleek presentation flashed onto the screen behind her charts. Timelines and a bold vision for Horizon Group. We're streamlining operations, cutting deadweight contracts, and pitching a sustainable, community-focused development. The city wants innovation, not another soulless skyscraper. One executive, a silver-haired man named Harold, raised a hand. Miss Sullivan, this is ambitious, but the board needs guarantees. Our cash flow is nearly non-existent. How do you plan to fund this? Ami nodded, prepared. I've secured a temporary line of credit through a private investor. It's enough to get us through the bid preparation. If we win, the city's advance will stabilize us. If we don't, I take full responsibility. Richard slammed his fist on the table. A private investor. Who, Amy? Some shady lender? You're gambling with our legacy? Amy met his glare. It's my legacy too, Dad, and I'm done letting you and Chloe run it into the ground. You can back me, or you can get out of my way. The room fell silent, the executives exchanging uneasy glances. Chloe leaned forward, her voice dripping with venom. You're delusional, Amy. You'll crash and burn, and when you do, don't come crying to us. Amy ignored her, addressing the board. I'm not asking for your trust. I'm asking for your faith in what we can become. Give me 1 month to prove I'm right. Harold nodded slowly. You've got guts, Miss Sullivan. I'll give you that. Let's vote. As the board deliberated, Amy's phone buzzed. A text from Jack Donovan. Gala tonight, 7 p.m. Wear something that screams power. We're making waves. She smiled faintly, her resolve hardening. Jack's backing. His name, his resources was her shield. But she was determined to wield it as a sword. The gala at the Metropolitan Museum of Art was a glittering affair. The great hall adorned with cascading orchids and golden light. Manhattan's elite mingled under the ancient Egyptian columns, their laughter mingling with the clink of champagne flutes. Amy stepped through the entrance on Jack's arm, her deep red gown catching every eye. The faint scar on her wrist was barely visible under a delicate bracelet, a new one, not the childhood one Jack remembered. Jack, in a black tuxedo, exuded effortless charisma, his blue eyes scanning the room for allies and enemies. You clean up nice, Jack murmured, leaning close as they navigated the crowd. Ready to play the game? Amy's lips curved, born ready. But your uncle's here, right? And Olivia? This could get messy. Jack chuckled. Messy's my specialty. Just follow my lead. They approached Victor Donovan, a broad-shouldered man in his 60s with a mane of silver hair and a commanding presence. His eyes, sharp like Jack's, softened as he spotted them. Jack, you've been avoiding me, Victor said, his voice a low rumble. And this must be Amy Sullivan, the runaway bride. Amy stiffened but kept her smile. Amy Sullivan, Horizon Group CEO. Nice to meet you, Mr. Donovan. Victor's brows lifted. CEO. Bold move for a Sullivan. Your family's not exactly known for stability these days. Before Amy could respond, Olivia Reed glided over, her silver gown shimmering like liquid metal. Her auburn hair was swept up, her brown eyes cold as they locked on Amy. "Jack, you didn't tell me you were bringing company," Olivia said, her tone laced with disdain. "Amy, was it? I hear your company's on its last legs. Brave of you to show your face." Amy's grip on Jack's arm tightened, but her voice was calm. "Brave is taking on a sinking ship and turning it around? What's your excuse for clinging to Jack's coattails?" Olivia's smile faltered, but she recovered quickly. "Careful, Amy. Jack's got a history, a girl from his past he can't let go of. You're just a stand-in, sweetheart." Amy's heart skipped, Olivia's words striking a nerve. The girl from his past, again. She glanced at Jack, but his expression was unreadable. "Olivia, enough," Jack said, his voice sharp. "Amy's my fiancée. Deal with it." Victor frowned, pulling Jack aside. "Fiancée? Jack, we've discussed this. Olivia's family to us. She's the one you should be with, not some desperate heiress." Jack's jaw clenched. "Victor, I make my own choices. Amy's not just some heiress, she's a fighter. You'll see." As Victor and Jack argued, Olivia leaned close to Amy, her voice a whisper. "You're playing a dangerous game, Amy. Jack's heart belongs to a girl he gave something special 2 years ago. You're not her." Amy's fingers brushed her scar, a flicker of doubt creeping in. "You don't know me, Olivia," she said, her voice steady. "And you don't know Jack as well as you think." Olivia smirked, drifting back into the crowd. Amy turned to Jack, who rejoined her, his expression stormy. "What was that about?" she asked. "Just Victor being Victor," Jack said, his tone clipped. He's got a blind spot for Olivia. "Don't let her get in your head." Amy nodded, but Olivia's words lingered. As they mingled with investors, pitching Horizon Group's vision, Amy felt the weight of the night, the stakes, the enemies, the uncertainty about Jack's past. Her phone buzzed again, a text from Chloe. "Nathan's meeting with Hudson Yards investors tomorrow." "You're already losing, cousin?" Amy's resolve hardened. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore, she was fighting for her future. "Jack," she said, turning to him, "let's make a statement tonight. I want every investor in this room to know Horizon Group's coming for the top." Jack grinned, raising his glass. "That's my girl. Let's show them what we're made of." The rain fell in sheets over Manhattan, transforming the city into a shimmering maze of neon reflections and blurred headlights. It was late June 2025, and the storm mirrored the chaos brewing in Amy Sullivan's life. She stood in a dimly lit warehouse on the outskirts of Brooklyn, her wrists bound with coarse rope, the faint cicatrix on her left wrist stinging against the restraints. Her deep blue dress, the same one she'd worn to the gala at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, was torn at the hem, and her chestnut hair clung to her face, damp from the leaking roof above. The warehouse smelled of rust and motor oil, its concrete floor littered with discarded crates. Amy's hazel eyes blazed with defiance, even as fear gnawed at her. Hours earlier, she'd been ambush-lured to a supposed investor meeting, only to be grabbed by masked men. She knew who was behind it: Nathan Brooks, her cheating ex-fiance, and Chloe Bennett, her treacherous cousin. But the real mastermind was Olivia Reed, the woman obsessed with claiming Jack Donovan for herself. Amy's mind raced, replaying the events that led her here. She'd been making waves with Horizon Group, her rebranded Sullivan Enterprises, securing investor interest for the Hudson Yards expansion bid. Her bold moves had rattled Nathan and Chloe, who were scrambling to salvage Brooks' property's competing bid. Olivia's taunts at the gala about Jack's mysterious girl from his past had planted seeds of doubt. But Amy had pushed them aside, focusing on her mission to prove herself. Now, trapped in this warehouse, she wondered if she underestimated her enemies. The creak of a metal door snapped her back to the present. Olivia Reed stepped into the flickering light of a single bulb, her silver coat glistening with rain. Her auburn hair was pulled tight, her brown eyes cold and triumphant. Two burly men flanked her, their faces obscured by ski masks. "Well, Amy," Olivia said, her voice smooth as venom, "you've been a thorn in my side. Did you really think you could waltz into Jack's life and take what's mine?" Amy strained against the ropes, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Yours? Jack's not a prize to be won, Olivia. He's my fiancé, and he chose me." Olivia laughed. Sharp, cutting sound. "Fiancé? Oh, sweetheart, you're just a placeholder. Jack's been hung up on a girl from his childhood forever, a girl he gave a little trinket to, a promise he's never forgotten. You're not her, Amy. You're just convenient." Amy's breath hitched, Olivia's words slicing through. Her resolve. The girl from his past. Again. Her fingers brushed the scar on her wrist. A flicker of memory stirring something about a childhood promise, affair, a boy who stood up for her. But it was too vague, buried under years of pain. "You're lying?" Amy said, her voice firm. "Jack's with me because he believes in me, not because of some ghost." Olivia stepped closer, her heels clicking on the concrete. "Believe what you want, but Jack's loyalty is to her, not you. And once you're out of the picture, he'll see that I'm the one who belongs at his side." Victor agrees. Amy's eyes narrowed. "Victor? Your puppet master? He's so blinded by you he can't see straight. But Jack's not like that. He'll find me." Olivia's smile widened. "Oh, I'm counting on it. But by the time he does, you'll be a liability he can't afford." She nodded to one of the men who pulled out a phone and began recording. "Smile for the camera, Amy. This little video will convince Jack you're not worth saving." Before Amy could respond, a crash echoed through the warehouse, metal against metal, followed by shouts. The door burst open and Jack Donovan stormed in, his black coat soaked, his blue eyes blazing with fury. Behind him, 2 security guards. In tactical gear, subdued Olivia's men, their movements swift and precise. Jack's gaze locked on Amy, relief and rage warring on his face. "Amy," he called, rushing to her side. He knelt, his hands trembling as he untied her ropes. "Are you hurt? Did they—" "I'm okay," Amy said, her voice shaking as the ropes fell away. She rubbed her wrists, the scar stinging under her touch. "How did you find me?" Jack's jaw tightened. "I've got eyes everywhere. When you didn't show up for our meeting, I tracked your phone. Thank God I got here in time." He glared at Olivia, who stood frozen, her confidence cracking. "You went too far, Olivia." Olivia recovered, her voice defiant. "You're making a mistake, Jack. She's nothing, a nobody from a failing family. I'm the one Victor wants for you. The one you're supposed to be with." Jack stood, shielding Amy. "Victor doesn't control me, and neither do you. Get out, Olivia, before I make sure you regret this." Olivia's eyes flashed, but she backed away, her men already restrained by Jack's team. "This isn't over," she hissed, before disappearing into the rain. Jack helped Amy to her feet, his hands gentle but firm. "Come on, let's get you out of here." They drove through the storm to Jack's penthouse in Tribeca, a sleek space with exposed brick walls and a view of the city's glowing heart. Amy sat on a plush sofa, wrapped in a blanket, a mug of tea warming her hands. The rain battered the windows, but the warmth of the room felt like a sanctuary. Jack sat across from her, his tuxedo jacket discarded, his shirt sleeves rolled up. His eyes kept drifting to her wrist, to the scar that seemed to hold a story he hadn't yet told. "Amy," he said finally, his voice soft but urgent. "There's something you need to know. About what Olivia said. About the girl from my past." Amy's heart clenched, Olivia's taunts echoing in her mind. "Jack, don't. I can't handle more lies right now. I just want to focus on Horizon Group, on winning the bid." "No," Jack interrupted, leaning forward. "You need to hear this. That girl Olivia keeps talking about, the one I gave something to, it's you, Amy." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a faded photograph, creased from years of being carried. It showed 2 children at a school, science fair, a shy girl with chestnut pigtails, and a boy with a crooked grin. The girl wore a handmade bracelet with beads and a small plaque engraved with J and A. Amy's breath caught, her fingers trembling as she took the photo. This is me. The science fair, 4th grade. I was so nervous, and the other kids were laughing at my project, a model volcano. You stood up for me. Jack nodded, his eyes soft. I told them to back off. You were so brave, even when you were scared. I gave you that bracelet, said I'd always have your back. When I saw the scar on your wrist at the diner, I knew it was you. I wasn't sure how to tell you. Amy touched her scar, memories flooding back the boy who'd been her hero. The bracelet she'd worn until it broke, leaving a scar from a fall when she tripped running home. Why didn't you say anything sooner? Jack ran a hand through his hair, his voice heavy. I didn't want to scare you off. You were dealing with so much Nathan. Chloe, your dad. I thought you needed a partner, not a ghost from the past. But Olivia's right about one thing. I've never forgotten you. Amy's eyes filled with tears, but they weren't from pain. For the first time in weeks, she felt anchored. Jack, I thought I was just a means to an end for you. He reached for her hand, his touch warm. You're not a means to anything, Amy. You're the girl I promised to protect. And I'm keeping that promise now. Amy smiled, her heart lighter, despite the bruises on her wrists. Then let's keep fighting. For Horizon Group, for us. Jack's grin returned, a spark of determination in his eyes. Deal? Let's take down Nathan, Chloe, and Olivia together. The sleek conference room of the New York City Planning Commission buzzed with anticipation, its walls lined with blueprints and digital screens displaying the proposed Hudson Yards expansion, a sprawling urban development that promised to redefine Manhattan's skyline. It was late June 2025, and the air outside was heavy with the remnants of last night's storm, now giving way to a hazy summer glow. Inside, the room was a battlefield of ambition, where sharp-suited developers and city officials clashed over a $5 billion contract. Amy Sullivan stood at the forefront, her navy blazer crisp, her chestnut hair swept into a low bun, her hazel eyes sharp with resolve. The faint cicatrix on her wrist, a reminder of her childhood connection to Jack Donovan, was hidden beneath a silver cuff bracelet, a new one, symbolizing her newfound strength. After her harrowing escape from the warehouse and Jack's revelation that she was the girl of the bracelet, Amy felt invincible, ready to take on her enemies and secure Horizon Group's future. The room was packed with competitors, including Nathan Brooks, who sat across the table in a tailored gray suit, his dark hair slicked back, his charming smile masking a predator's intent. Beside him, Chloe Bennett leaned forward, her emerald dress a deliberate contrast to Amy's understated elegance, her green eyes glinting with malice. They represented Brooks' properties. Their rival bid a desperate attempt to salvage their failing empire. Amy's father, Richard Sullivan, lingered at the edge of the room, his gray hair disheveled, his face a mix of resentment and reluctant hope. He'd grudgingly agreed to let Amy lead Horizon Group's pitch, but his support was as fragile as the company's finances. Jack Donovan stood beside Amy, his black suit impeccable, his blue eyes scanning the room like a general assessing a battlefield. His presence was a quiet anchor, bolstering Amy's confidence as she prepared to present. "You've got this," he whispered, his hand brushing hers. "Show them what you're made of." Amy nodded, her heart pounding but steady. "Let's bury them," she murmured, stepping to the podium as the commission chair. A stern woman named Commissioner Elena Torres called the meeting to order. "Ladies and gentlemen," Amy began, her voice clear and commanding. "Horizon Group presents a vision for the Hudson Yards expansion that's not just about buildings, it's about community, sustainability, and the future of New York. Our plan integrates green spaces, affordable housing, and cutting-edge infrastructure, all while honoring the city's legacy." She clicked a remote, and a 3D rendering of her design, a sleek complex with rooftop gardens and vibrant public plazas, lit up the screen. The room murmured in approval, but Nathan leaned forward, his voice smooth. "Impressive visuals, Ms. Sullivan, but let's talk reality. Horizon Group, formerly Sullivan Enterprises, is drowning in debt. How can the city trust you to deliver when your company's on life support?" Amy's jaw tightened, but she was ready. A fair question, Mr. Brooks. Horizon Group has secured a private credit line to fund our bid preparation, and our streamlined operations ensure efficiency. Unlike Brooks Properties, which I hear has been investigated for financial discrepancies. She slid a folder across the table, her eyes locking with Nathan's. The commission might find these reports interesting. Nathan's smile faltered as Torres opened the folder, her brow furrowing. Chloe shot Amy a venomous glare. "You're bluffing," Chloe hissed, loud enough for the room to hear. "You're desperate, Amy, and everyone knows it." Amy's lips curved into a cool smile. "Desperate? No, Chloe, I'm prepared. Unlike you and Nathan, who thought a few bribes and a shady subcontractor could win this bid." She turned to Torres. "Commissioner, Horizon Group's financials are transparent, and our subcontractors are vetted. Can Brooks Properties say the same?" The room erupted in whispers, and Nathan's face reddened. "This is slander," he snapped, rising from his seat. "You have no proof." Torres raised a hand, silencing him. "Mr. Brooks, sit down. Miss Sullivan, your allegations are serious. We'll review the evidence." "Proceed with your pitch," Amy continued, her voice unwavering, detailing Horizon Group's innovative designs and community partnerships. As she spoke, Jack watched her with quiet pride, his eyes occasionally drifting to her wrist where the new bracelet gleamed, a symbol of their shared past and present alliance. By the end, the commission was visibly impressed, and Torres nodded. "Thank you, Miss Sullivan. Horizon Group's proposal is compelling. We'll deliberate and announce a decision soon." As the meeting adjourned, Chloe stormed over, her heels clicking furiously. "You think you've won, Amy? This little stunt won't change anything. Nathan and I have connections you can't touch." Amy met her gaze, unflinching. "Keep telling yourself that, Chloe, but every lie you and Nathan tell just digs your grave deeper." Nathan joined them, his charm replaced by a scowl. "You're playing a dangerous game, Amy. You and your fake fiancé won't last in this city." Jack stepped forward, his voice low and dangerous. "Careful, Brooks. Threaten her again, and you'll find out how real this engagement is." Before Nathan could retort, Richard approached, his expression conflicted. "Amy, that was bold," he said, his voice gruff. "But you're risking everything. If you fail, Horizon Group is finished." Amy turned to her father, her voice steady. "If I fail, it's on me, Dad. Not you, not Chloe. I'm done carrying your mistakes." Richard's eyes widened, but he said nothing, turning away as Chloe tugged at his arm, whispering furiously. Amy felt a surge of freedom. She was no longer her father's pawn dot later that evening. Amy and Jack sat in a quiet corner of a Tribeca wine bar, its exposed brick walls and candlelit tables a stark contrast to the day's intensity. The city hummed outside, its energy a constant pulse. Amy sipped a glass of Pinot Noir, her new bracelet catching the light. "I can't believe we pulled that off," she said, exhaling. Nathan and Chloe were rattled, and the commission? Listen, but Olivia, she wasn't there. That worries me. Jack leaned back, his whiskey glass half empty. Olivia's licking her wounds after the warehouse stun, but she's not done. Neither is my Uncle Victor. He's been blowing up my phone, demanding I reconsider you. Amy frowned, Olivia's words about the girl from his past lingering. Even knowing she was the girl of the bracelet didn't erase all her doubts. Jack, why does Victor push Olivia so hard? What's their deal? Jack sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. Victor raised Olivia after her parents died. He sees her as family, his legacy. He's got this old school idea that marrying her to me will secure the Donovan Empire. Never mind that I've told him 100 times I'm not interested. Lenny nodded, but her fingers brushed her scar, a reflex. And Olivia? She's not just following Victor's orders. She's obsessed. Jack's eyes softened, catching her gesture. She's jealous, Amy, of you, of what we have. That bracelet. You wore as a kid? It meant something to me. You meant something. Olivia can't stand that. Amy smiled faintly, but her voice was serious. Then we need to be ready. Chloe and Nathan are desperate, and Olivia's dangerous. They'll hit back hard. Jack reached across the table, his hand covering hers. Let them try. We're stronger together, and after today, Horizon Group's got a real shot at that bid. Amy squeezed his hand, her resolve solidifying. Then let's make sure we win. For us, for the future. Outside, the city sparkled, a testament to their fight. But in the shadows, Chloe and Nathan met with a new ally, plotting their next move, while Olivia watched from afar. Her plan far from over. The Manhattan skyline shimmered under a bruised purple sky, the threat of another summer storm hanging heavy over the city. It was early July 2025, and the rooftop terrace of the Donovan Group's headquarters in Midtown was ablaze with golden lights strung across sleek pergolas, transforming the space into a stage for New York's elite. The gala celebrated the impending announcement of the Hudson Yards expansion bid winner, a $5 billion project that had pitted Amy Sullivan's Horizon Group against Nathan Brooks' faltering Brooks Properties. The air buzzed with anticipation, the clink of champagne flutes mingling with the murmur of investors and city officials. Amy stood near the edge of the terrace, her burgundy gown catching the breeze, her chestnut hair swept into an elegant chignon. Her hazel eyes scanned the crowd, alert for trouble. The silver cuff bracelet on her wrist concealed the faint cicatrix that tied her to Jack Donovan's childhood promise, a promise that had anchored her through weeks of betrayal and battle. Jack stood beside her, his black tuxedo sharp, his blue eyes tracking every move in the room. His hand rested lightly on her back, a silent reassurance. "You're a force tonight," he murmured, his voice warm. "The commission's decision comes tomorrow. After your pitch, I'd bet my penthouse on Horizon Group." Amy managed a small smile, but her stomach churned. "I hope you're right. Nathan and Chloe are too quiet, and Olivia's been off the radar since the warehouse. That's not good." Jack's jaw tightened. They're desperate. Desperate people do stupid things. "Stay sharp." The crowd parted as Victor Donovan approached, his silver hair gleaming under the lights, his broad frame commanding attention. His sharp eyes, so like Jack's, softened as he clapped his nephew on the shoulder. "Jack, you've been dodging me," Victor said, his voice a deep rumble. "And Amy quite the performance with Horizon Group, but I'm still not sold on this arrangement." Amy stiffened, her voice cool. "With all due respect, Mr. Donovan, Jack and I are partners. In business and in life, your approval isn't required." Victor's brows lifted, a flicker of respect crossing his face. "You've got spine, I'll give you that. But Olivia's family to me, she's hurt, and I don't take kindly to that." Jack stepped forward, his tone firm. "Victor, Olivia's hurt because she can't accept reality. Amy's my fiancée, and she's staying. End of story." Before Victor could respond, a commotion erupted near the bar. Chloe Bennett swept through the crowd, her gold dress shimmering, her green eyes blazing with triumph. Nathan Brooks trailed her, his charm replaced by a grim determination. Chloe raised a champagne flute, her voice carrying over the music. "A toast," she called, drawing every eye, "to Horizon Group's bold bid and its inevitable failure. Because let's be honest, Amy Sullivan's just a pretender playing dress-up." Gasps rippled through the crowd, and Amy's hands clenched. Jack moved to intervene, but Amy touched his arm, stopping him. "Let me handle this," she whispered. Stepping forward, "Chloe, if you're going to throw shade, at least make it original. Your lies won't change the facts. Horizon Group's bid is solid, and Brooks Properties is crumbling." Chloe's smirk widened. "Solid? Oh, Amy, you're so naive. Why? Don't you tell everyone about your little secret?" She pulled out her phone, projecting an image onto a nearby screen, a grainy photo of Amy tied up in the warehouse, her face pale, her dress torn. "Look at the fearless CEO now. Kidnapped, helpless. Some leader," the crowd murmured, and Amy's heart sank. Nathan stepped forward, his voice smug. The commission won't trust a company led by someone who can't even protect herself. Step down, Amy, before you embarrass your family further. Richard Sullivan pushed through the crowd, his face red with anger. Hey, what is this? You're making us a laughingstock. Amy's voice shook with fury, but she stood tall. This is a setup, Dad. Chloe and Nathan are working with someone who tried to destroy me. But I'm still here, and I'm not backing. Down. Before she could say more, a figure emerged from the shadows. Olivia Reed, her silver gown glinting like armor, her auburn hair swept up. Her brown eyes locked on Amy, cold and unyielding. Enough games, Olivia said, her voice slicing. Through the noise, Jack, it's time to stop this charade. Amy's a liability. She's not the girl you promised to protect. Amy's breath caught, the mention of the bracelet cutting deep. Jack's hand tightened on her arm, his voice low and dangerous. Olivia, you're crossing a line. Amy is that girl. And you know it? Olivia laughed, a bitter sound. Do I? Then why did Victor tell me you're still torn? You can't let go of that childhood fantasy, but Amy's not her. She's a fraud. Victor stepped forward, his face conflicted. Jack, I didn't, Olivia. That's not what I meant. I just want what's best for you. Amy's heart raced. Doubt creeping in despite Jack's revelation. She touched her bracelet, grounding herself. Victor, Olivia, you're both wrong. I'm not a fantasy or a fraud. I am Amy Sullivan, and I've earned my place. Before anyone could respond, a scream cut through the air. A section of the pergola above Amy shuddered, its bolts loosening in a deliberate sabotage. Jack reacted instantly, pulling Amy out of the way as the structure crashed, sending glass and metal scattering. The crowd panicked, and Amy's dress tore as she hit the ground, her wrist throbbing where the bracelet pressed against her scar. Jack shielded her, his eyes scanning the chaos. This was no accident, he growled, spotting Olivia slipping through the crowd. Stay here. No, Amy said, struggling to her feet. I'm done running. She pushed through the fleeing guests, her gown trailing, and caught Olivia near the stairwell. You did this, didn't you? Amy demanded, her voice raw. The warehouse, now this. You're willing to kill me to get Jack? Olivia's eyes flashed, but her voice was steady. You don't belong here, Amy. Jack's mine, and I'll do whatever it takes to protect what's mine. Jack caught up, grabbing Olivia's arm. It's over, Olivia. You've gone too far. The police are on their way. Olivia's composure cracked, her voice rising. You'll regret this, Jack. Victor will never forgive you. As security escorted Olivia away, Amy turned to find Nathan and Chloe slipping toward the exit. She blocked their path, her voice cold. Not so fast. You two helped her, didn't you? The warehouse, the sabotage, I've got evidence, and the commission will hear about it. Nathan paled, but Chloe scoffed. You're bluffing, Amy. You've got nothing. Amy's smile was sharp. Try me. Your little stunt with that photo? It's traced back to your phone, Chloe. And Nathan's shady deals? Already on the commissioner's desk. Richard approached, his eyes wide. Amy, is this true? You've been fighting all this alone? Amy met his gaze, her voice steady. Not alone. But I'm done begging for your approval, Dad. Horizon? Group's mine now. The police arrived, detaining Nathan and Chloe as the crowd watched in stunned silence. Victor pulled Jack aside, his voice heavy. I was wrong, Jack. About Olivia, about Amy. I wanted to protect our family. Jack's expression softened. Then start by trusting me, Victor. Amy's my family now. Amy overheard, her heart swelling. She touched her bracelet, the scar beneath it a reminder of her strength. But as she looked at Jack, a wave of dizziness hit her. She was pregnant, a secret she'd only just confirmed. The stress, the fall, she clutched his arm, her voice faint. Jack, I need to sit. Jack's face paled, catching her as she swayed. Amy, what's wrong? Talk to me. She smiled weakly, whispering, I'm okay. We're going to be okay. The Central Park boathouse glowed under a canopy of stars. its wooden beams draped with white roses and twinkling fairy lights. It was a crisp September evening in 2025, and the gentle lapping of the lake against the dock mingled with the soft strains of a jazz quartet playing Ella Fitzgerald's At Last. Manhattan's skyline loomed in the distance, a glittering testament to resilience and reinvention. Amy Sullivan stood at the center of the boathouse, radiant in a simple yet elegant off-the-shoulder gown of ivory lace, her chestnut hair cascading. In loose waves, her hazel eyes sparkled with joy, and the faint cicatrix on her wrist, once a mark of pain, now felt like a badge of survival, barely visible beneath a delicate silver bracelet, a new one gifted by Jack Donovan to replace the childhood one that had bound their past. Tonight was their wedding, not a contract or a shield, but a celebration of love forged through fire. The past 2 months had been a whirlwind. Amy's Horizon Group had won the Hudson Yards expansion bid, a $5 billion project that cemented her as a force in New York's real estate world. Nathan Brooks and Chloe Bennett faced legal consequences for their roles in the warehouse kidnapping and financial fraud. Their reputation shattered. Olivia Reed, unmasked as the mastermind behind the gala sabotage, had fled the city, her influence over Victor Donovan broken. Victor, humbled by his misjudgment, had embraced Amy as family, his gruff apology a turning point in their relationship. And Amy's secret, she was pregnant with Jack's child, had transformed their partnership into a promise of forever. The boathouse was filled with a select group of guests, Horizon Group executives, Jack's loyal team, and a few close friends. Richard Sullivan stood near the bar, his gray hair neatly combed, his face softer than Amy had ever seen. Their relationship was still strained, but his presence tonight was a step toward healing. Jack, dashing in a charcoal tuxedo, stood beside Amy, his blue eyes locked on hers as they exchanged vows, his voice steady but thick with emotion. "Amy," Jack said, holding her hands, "you were the girl who stole my heart at a science fair. The one I promised to protect. I lost you once, but I'll spend every day making sure I never lose you again. You're my partner, my love, my home." Amy's eyes glistened, her voice trembling with joy. "Jack, he saw me when I was invisible, believed in me when I doubted myself. You're my strength, my future, and I promise to fight for us, always." The officiant smiled, pronouncing them husband and wife, and the guests erupted in applause as Jack pulled Amy into a kiss. Warm and unhurried, sealing their vows under the stars. The quartet struck up a lively tune, and the boathouse transformed into a dance floor, laughter and clinking glasses filling the air dot as Amy and Jack swayed to the music. Her head resting on his shoulder, she caught sight of Richard watching them. She excused herself, approaching her father with cautious hope. "Dad," she said softly, "I'm glad you're here." Richard cleared his throat, his eyes avoiding hers. "Amy, I wasn't fair to you. I pushed you into a corner, put the company above you. Seeing you tonight, leading Horizon Group, happy with Jack, I'm proud. I don't say it enough." Amy's heart swelled, but she kept her voice steady. "Thanks, Dad. It means a lot. But I'm not doing this for your approval anymore. I'm doing it for me, for my family." She touched her stomach subtly, a secret smile playing on her lips. Richard nodded, a rare softness in his expression. "You're a better leader than I ever was. Keep proving me wrong, kid." Amy smiled, returning to Jack, who pulled her back into the dance. "Everything okay?" he asked, his hand warm on her waist. "Better than okay," she said, leaning into him. "I think we're finally free." Jack grinned, his eyes twinkling, free to take on the world. Speaking of which, Horizon Group's groundbreaking ceremony is next week. "You ready to build the future?" Amy laughed, her voice light. "With you, always. But first, you owe me a lifetime of bad cooking, Mr. Donovan." Jack chuckled, spinning her gently. "Deal. Burnt toast every morning, just for you." As they danced, Victor approached, his silver hair catching the light. "Jack, Amy," he said, his voice gruff but warm. "I owe you both an apology. I was stubborn, blind about Olivia. You've built something real here, and I'm honored to be part of it. Amy squeezed his arm, her smile genuine. Tank? You, Victor. Family means everything to us. That includes you. Victor's eyes softened, and he raised his glass. To family, Ben, and to kicking ass in this city. The guests laughed, toasting with him, and the night unfolded in a blur of joy speeches, cake cutting, and stolen moments between Amy and Jack by the lake. As the quartet played a slow ballad, Amy pulled Jack to a quiet corner, her hand resting on her bracelet. Jack, she said, her voice soft. I found something in your office last week. The old bracelet? The one from the science fair? You kept it all these years? Jack's cheeks flushed, a rare vulnerability crossing his face. Guilty. It was my reminder of you, even when I didn't know where you were. That little J and A placket was my anchor. Amy's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. You're ridiculous, you know that, and I love you for it. Jack pulled her close, his lips brushing her forehead. Good, because you're stuck with me, Mrs. Donovan. They rejoined the party, but Amy's heart was full, her gaze drifting. To the skyline. Horizon Group's first tower would soon rise there, a symbol of her triumph over Nathan, Chloe, Olivia, and her own doubts. She was no longer the runaway bride or Richard's pawn. She was Amy Sullivan Donovan, a leader, a wife, and soon a mother dot as the night wound down. Amy and Jack slipped away to the dock, the city's lights reflecting on the water. What's next? Amy asked. Her hand in his dot. Jack looked at her, his eyes fierce with love. Everything. The project, the baby, us. We're just getting started. Amy leaned against him, her bracelet glinting in the moonlight. Then let's build it all together. The stars above Central Park bore witness to their promise, and Manhattan hummed with the pulse of a new beginning. Later, in their Tribeca penthouse, Amy stood by the window, the city sprawling below. Jack joined her, wrapping his arms around her. Happy? He asked, his voice low. More than I ever thought possible, she said, turning to kiss him. But don't think this gets you out of cooking tomorrow. Jack laughed, pulling her close. Wouldn't dream of it. As they stood together, the skyline stretched before them, a canvas of dreams ready for their next chapter. Wow, what a ride. How did this epic New York saga hit you? From 0 to 10, what's your score for this tale of grit and heart? Could you face the same battles our heroine did? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're dying to hear. Smash that subscribe button. And tap the to never miss a story. Share this video with a friend who thrives on comeback tailies. Let's keep the inspiration flowing. See you in the next one.